Now this one, as always, as is customary, question 5 is always brought to us by Davis. And even though he gave us another one before as well, he's given us an absolute belter with this last one here. I say that now, him being in the room, obviously. Question 5, pitch a horror house. Come up with a theme and plot and budget. Basically, Universal Studios holds a Halloween horror night every year where big horror IPs are given massive budget and walk through mazes. But it's is it Michael Aledio or? Anyway, yeah. He's a devout Whovian, and he wants Who in one of his parks. He's wanted it for decades. Pitch a theme and horror house on a Universal budget. And we gave you a couple of examples in the videos there. Will, I'm going to come to you first.
Okay, so yeah, this is going to sound like a random tangent, but it is going somewhere, I promise. I've recently been playing the Batman Arkham games, and there's a really great set piece in the first one, Arkham Asylum, where the Scarecrow starts manipulating the world around you with his fear toxin. And I just love how it's able to have you walk into a room, you then open the door, and it turns out you're back in exactly the same room. What was a corridor is now an alleyway because you've just walked through a door, and it's manipulating the environment around you. And when I thought about that, and I'd love to see that maybe applied to a big horror house, a haunted house, but with a Doctor Who theme, what else has messed with your mind? What has precedent in the Doctor Who universe? And that is the Matrix. So I'm thinking the plot line, the framing device could be something similar to maybe Deadly Assassin or Trial of a Time Lord, where, you know, there's some weird Time Lord formality going on. You met with the cast, like a couple of actors who are able to sort of give you a brief, and then you go into the Matrix, where there is a rational, plausible reason for you open a door on Gallifrey, and you're in the Dalek Asylum, or something. Or you open the door, you're in the God Complex. You open the door, you're in the 456 tank with that poor soldier, etc. It gives you a reason to not only be malleable and to present different scares in different places and locations, but it also allows you to do a best of the franchise of Doctor Who. And I think having it in the Matrix means that you can actually make it a bit more abstract and a bit weirder as well, where this isn't your mum's Dalek Asylum. This is actually in a better story. Something like that, where you are able to take what you are familiar with from the TV show, but give it a little Matrixy twist. I remember the incredible imagery that is so random, but that's why it works in The Deadly Assassin, when the Fourth Doctor is in a quarry, and then all of a sudden there's a World War I soldier in a gas mask with a horse just parading through. So what is this? So that sort of weirdness, the variety of locales, you are in the Matrix, and you have to either accomplish a goal or just get out.
Very nice. I love how you threw in a very subtle asylum dig as well. Yeah, you got to stick to your brand, Will. I appreciate that. Sam, obviously you've taken on questions. Taken on answers from a participant tonight. This one is going to be all you, baby. So
right. I'll give it my best go. I'll give it my best go. It's not as if I've thought about this for years or anything. Okay, so you're working with a massive budget and a big space. It's more than Time Fracture. It's more than the Doctor Who experience story. It's a new medium, frankly. And you should play to the strengths of the medium, which is you're in a simulacra. You're in this made-up fantasy space. But what if the fantasy space knew it was a fantasy space? This is Adventures in the Land of Fiction. You start off like coming into a Victorian warehouse, and the general pitch is that you're coming in at the end of the adventure. The entrance to the queue is a big TARDIS door column, and you walk straight through, assuming that the rest of the park is the TARDIS, which I think could be a nice little flourish. You walk in and see all these flashing domes. That's the first scare right there. You are in this pitch black room, and all these. Turns out you're surrounded. As I said earlier, Daleks are incredibly imposing in real life, and I don't believe anyone who thinks otherwise. And then you see up above you, Universal have the technology, as I think you see in the Harry Potter Forbidden Journey ride. They can create a screen hologram that does look like an actor is in the room with you. And let's just say Peter Davison and David Tennant aren't really going to say no to Universal money. Also, this way, you can have interchangeable doctors. This is someone down looking at you going, brilliant, no, we did it. And it's a sort of flat effect. It looks a little bit like a hologram, but you assume, because it's, it's a theme park effect, you're like, oh, it's the Doctor, he's here with me. So the next few rooms, as you're guided through, takes you through TARDIS corridors as the transitional. And it has real fun with the locations. I think we go for really British locations and locales, because this is an American park. They see Doctor Who as the British thing. So let's really go for like British history. And we're just getting like, as we say, like Monster of the Week. We're seeing the really well-timed scares and ones that match the environment they're in. So Sea Devil lurking underneath the water. We could have a silence, just like the noise happens. Turns out they're on the ceiling. And all this is happening. It's like, it feels like it's going by at a very breezy pace. And the Doctor is always on hand, coming through, whether it's an actor dressed up from the back or a screen itself. And then you get to the end, and you're back in the TARDIS, and the facade breaks down, and the massive mega scare is that this was all a simulation. The screen hologram that looked like a hologram actually is a hologram. The Doctor has never been with you. You have just queued and walked yourself into a Cyberman factory. And that will be the end of this horror house. You can tell I winged it, but I'm quite happy with it.
Happy birthday, kids. You've just been cyber augmented.
Hey, Ben, what you got?
Yeah, go on, Ben. Over to you.
The obvious pandering might be on display here. I may have mentioned to Sam, I want one set around the Festival of Ghana.
Oh, you fucker.
Yeah, try argue against your wife, Sam. We're going to give this the haunted house treatment, because it already lends itself to that. And I was thinking, okay, this seems a bit of a joke, the chase as a theme park, but actually I do think it works quite a bit, because the Land of Fiction and the Matrix, I feel like this would lend itself to being a haunted house where it is just making good things as we go along. I think it would lend to slightly more freedom that you could have with it, because it's an episode that does not make sense, but it is just chucking stuff at the wall, but it has firmly its own identity. You get the Daleks, you get Frankenstein, you get Dracula, you've got all kinds of scares. If you want, you could have, either to actors playing Ian, Barbara, and the Doctor and Vicky, or you could take, Sam's suggestion, which was just sort of try and make it appear like an actor is there, and you could get. I mean, I don't think David Bradley would say no to Universal money either, and you could put in some other stuff from the chase, which is, I think, the mechanoids would actually be quite. They've always looked like a really just fun, very kid-orientated villain from the design. So you could have a room where maybe they show up as well, and you can really just kind of mess around with it quite a bit. It's got a feeling of uniqueness. It's got a old-timey sort of 1960s feel. It can feel like a bit of a time capsule for that era. And there was another. No, I think that's pretty much it.
Okay, lovely. Obviously I'll be impartial, but I'll say it now. The chase supremacy. Fight.
For context, me and Ben we did a video talking. We watched The Chase today. We watched that exact episode. We did not know we would be going against one another in this. Oh boy. I guess I'll have to start with I've got an unfair advantage. I do have a bit of knowledge about Halloween Horror Nights as an event. it's not everyone going there is going to know the IP. The director is a big fan, but is the everyday person going to care about Ian and Barbara? Is the average person going to appreciate all these little details?
They might appreciate Dracula and Frankenstein.
That's my
And
second
they'll
one.
appreciate Daleks, if nothing else.
Yes,
And
yeah,
Daleks.
and they'll recognize Daleks as well. So you definitely need Daleks in your horror house. Sorry, Will.
It's at least look fun.
Yes, I think that's cool. The problem is, and I'm really sorry to say, that Universal own Universal Monsters. So they have done this house many, many times over. Not with Daleks, and not with Journey into Mystery as a theme, although that's a sick name for the house.
It was Journey into Terror.
Oh my god, I am the fake fan. Journey into Mystery is Marvel.
Oh,
Journey into
Sam.
Mystery is
Oh.
Marvel.
Oh, Sam. And
Don't look at me.
I said the biggest insult to Terry Nation this evening. Oh,
Don't.
Sam. Oh, this
Don't
is
fucking
sad.
look at me. Don't look at me. I want to talk about Will's one because we're following a pattern again.
I
And
rest
Will's
my
gonna end
case.
up, Will's going to end up sneaking and winning because we're too busy.
Good for Will.
Just gonna sit here and let you destroy yourselves.
Okay, The Matrix. Don't we already have plenty of kind of stuff? How is this any different from, say, Time Fracture, which cost significant, which did not really require a universal budget?
Unfortunately, I was unable to engage with Time Fracture. I was unable to make the financial or time commitment. So, if you take issue with that, you are quite frankly classist. So that's what I'll hold against
That
you.
gatekeeping media.
Exactly. Whereas I think like the Mind Robber, that's not even available on Blu-ray. Whereas you're able to watch The Deadly Assassin on Blu-ray. I've got it behind me.
Chase on Blu-ray.
I
The
will.
Chase is not on Blu-ray until December.
It's gonna be on there. It's gonna be huge.
I will stand
Coming
down,
back, baby.
I don't want Mind Robber used against me because I very quickly dropped it in my pitch. it's not the world of fiction.
No, you're actually
please ignore
going
that
for
part.
Legend of the Cybermen. That's your pitch, isn't it? That's there we go.
Great, great go. Sure, let's just say it's that. You wake up in a recording booth in the final room. Am I fiction?
Surely Journey to Terror is already it's pretty much got the same kind of stuff as the Mind Robber, and it's got Daleks. I mean, I know Cybermen are generally secondhand Daleks, but this really does feel like you're demonstrating that quite a bit here. Oh, we couldn't get the Daleks. Sorry, we're doing the Mind Robber. The fans seem to care about that more. I reckon it has more broad appeal.
But I think
is my dad gonna care when I drag him into this house?
Oh yeah, hold on, just to clarify, are you basing? Just remind me, which version of the Matrix are we getting? Are we strictly going with the Deadly Assassin version, or is it kind of all of them?
I'm thinking it's more just. It doesn't have to be exactly ripped from, say, the Deadly Assassin of the Mysterious Foe, but just the idea of a place, a setting where anything can happen. I mean, you can borrow some imagery if you want to.
I mean, there's just kind of a feeling of aboutism with that one. That just sounds incredibly vague, and I think the Matrix just works better, on TV. I think when you go there in person, it's just you just kind of go, "Hey, do you want to go home and watch The Deadly Assassin or Mysterious Planet?" Do you want people to go to think to themselves, you know what? I'd rather be watching Trial of a Time Lord.
But we have to remember, though, is that the Festival of Ghana has already been tested out. If you actually remember in the chase, you'll see that it has a big sign on the front of it that says "Cancelled by Peking." You had your shot. You missed. It's a bad attraction that was cancelled.
In universe.
The animatronics walk around
in 1996.
The animatronics are sentient and walk around and are invincible and are very strong and violent.
You could integrate that as part of the story.
Davis,
you could integrate that as part of at the story going, oh,
Ben,
wait, you're not meant to be in here. This
Ben
was
Davis,
closed
this
down
isn't
years
round
ago."
2. You're not doing a Five Nights at Freddy's horror crossover. We want to try and pitch a good House of Horror right now. And I think something that would be really fun and malleable is The Matrix. As I mentioned with my example for Batman Arkham Asylum, you walk out of one room and, oh, you're actually in the exact same room. You can do that in a haunted house, and you can really mess with people's heads in a way that is, you don't need to know a black and white story from the 60s in order to get.
I have one question for Will, and that was, if we're doing The Matrix, it is vague theming, but you can get everything in there that you want. Address it's a simulacra, yeah, sure. I need you to be more specific on the plots, because otherwise people may not even realize The Matrix is the theme. You know what I mean? If it is just, how are you going to establish the location and a story in just a couple rooms?
So yeah, in this hypothetical example, there could be, say, even if like this isn't a legally binding suggestion, but for example, the first room could be like the courtroom from Trial of a Time Lord, just a big space where there's a few actors in there in a controlled environment where they can set out the story and set out the situation and the scenario. You only need one big room to do that. It could even be a hub, I don't know. And then they can go on and experience the crazy stuff. Okay. I think as long as you've got that first room, like the courtroom, then you can go from there.
They usually have very small spaces to do pre-shows. I'm not sure you could fit in quite a courtroom, but yeah, it's a good pitch. It sounds nice.
Yeah,
I'd fucking do it.
You need somebody in there to shout. There's nothing you can do to prevent the catharsis of spurious morality, and then everyone's sold.
Scrapyard.
I also, because I also think with the Matrix, you can do some other Time Lord stuff. Like, you don't have to say, oh, now we're in the Death Zone, but you can borrow some ideas from the Death Zone, like when Jamie and Zoe appeared in their hallucinations. That's how you could even get some actors who are dressed up like them, but they're not quite them. Well, maybe not. Oh, this is actually Jamie. Oh, step back. You don't get too close, because you'll see that I'm not really Fraser Hines. Something like that.
This is fun, but I'm still thinking we're going to niche for the common park goer. Whereas mine is just the opening pitch is Doctor Who has just been the Daleks, and now we're going to go look around British history because we travel in time in the blue box. These are all things the average park goer is going to know, but that doesn't mean it has to be generic. There's still very specific references and set pieces in there. I think I'd like to hear a counter argument to this. I think I'm using the medium of the house the most by getting a little meta with it, addressing that it is all fake, but because you're in a theme park ride, you're like, I know this is fake, but I think this is trying to be real. There's some the final twist that it was actually all fake, I think is really nice. And also just a house being a conversion factory is a nice visual.
I would say mine is the most pure to the concept. It is literally a haunted house with Daleks in. It is Doctor Who and haunted houses being mashed together. And I genuinely think this actually relies on knowledge of the original story the least, because I think it's just the most self-explanatory. This is coming from very early on, where there wasn't actually a massive amount of lore. There wasn't a lot to know. We didn't have the land of fiction. We didn't have the Time Lords or anything. It is literally just a haunted house, and there are Daleks. And I think there's a purity in that, if nothing else.
Without prior knowledge of the chase, though, might it just seem that, oh, you've put two houses into one? Okay, sure. We've mixed the Halloween horror Universal Monsters. I think Legends Collide, they're calling it this year. Oh, and we've got Daleks in there now? Cool, I like Daleks. Why have they done two houses in one? But it is this reference to a 1965 serial. It's not the be-all and end-all, because I know the phrasing, but even so. Is a part where I go, oh, I'm with Barbara, right. The school teacher from Shoreditch.
Yeah, I also think what makes my setting so good with The Matrix is that you can have the Festival of Ghana be one of the rooms. Like, there we go. Bam, I've swallowed up your example.
I'm not... There's a big budget, but big thing is with space. I'm not quite sure we've got all the space to play with.
Big on the
All
inside. It's big
Mine-
on the
three
inside.
of our.
Mine,
Okay, shit.
mine lends it. Mine is the most space. Mine works the best within the space allocated. I would also say.
Okay, yours might involve having to go upstairs though. And that's
Well, we all know the biggest threat to Daleks is water. Just don't chuck them into the ocean. We learned that from the show.
as Ian says in episode 5, Journey into Mystery.
It's episode
Wars.
4.
Episode 6, Journey into Bewilderments. Ian says, this is a great place to fight Daleks. There's stairs. How are your actors getting around, man?
Oh, fuck it. I give up.
No!
Telling all the
know!
other answers to win, okay? I just made this to blatantly pander you. I thought the 4, 5, 6 one would at least get me 1 point, but no. No, I'm throwing down white flag.
Oh
If
no!
I was a judge, you'd have it though, and that's what. Sad to see, Ben.
It's sad because actually, Ben, I'll jump in now. You were doing very well. I felt.
I was struggling against your argument. I had to keep
You're
going
saying
against.
that.
It's niche. That's all I had. It's kind of niche.
Yeah.
And how the actor's
Yeah.
going to get around.
You all picked vague enough picks that meant you could go to lots of different locations, which is perfect for a haunted house because you can just do it like. I love Will how you're liking it to the Arkham games. I know Ben, you're saying there was a precedent for me saying about Batman, but no, because the specifics of what Will was referencing were actually perfect for the situation, whereas the Batman but Doctor Who wasn't, per se. All the same, they did take you down by going like, "Oh yeah, but the Matrix is very vast and so vague and so like how you said a very good thing about you could have the big room at the start, which is like the courtroom from Trial of the Time Lord, but then that was really good. I think it was really good that you thought when you think about that. But then it's also. Is the general public going to see that going to know what the Matrix is? Even if you do an info dump, are they going to be like? Are they really going to take it on? Sam, I have to ask yours. Is it land? So you're saying you're presenting it as Land of Fiction?
No. We
But then
dropped that
it's not.
element. We
Okay,
we dropped that element.
yeah.
That was me improvising on the spot. So
Yeah,
I probably
and that's what confused me. So you were saying it's
the
Land of Fiction, and then it's revealed because that's what I thought. I thought, oh, you're presenting it as a Land of Fiction, but no, it's cyber conversion. Actually,
we've come into the end of a Dalek adventure in a Victorian warehouse, some sort of very quintessential British location.
Yeah. Okay. See, that's the thing. I got confused with that because that's no fault of your own because obviously you picked this up and had to run with just a pitch.
I also did have an unfair advantage by being a horror house fan and making the question,
and also making the question. Yeah, but so Ben actually by basing it on an episode and talking about actually basing it on an episode or a story where there are lots of different locations and lots of different things, and actually in my mind utilizing the monsters, and Sam's going like, oh no, it's niche, oh no, people are just going to say these are two things put together, but then you also said this year it's called what's it called, like Legends
Collide, yeah.
So again, there's a precedent for it. For me, again, I'm not taking your flag waving. And I'm not just giving it to you for charity. I'm absolutely not. Believe me. Ben, I'm giving you the point.
Woo!
I need to try less. I think when I give up, I do better.